Well, good morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Appreciate everyone and happy Canada Day for those who thought I wouldn't be on this morning. A holiday here in Canada. And Nick and Mike, Rosalinda, good to have you guys on with us this morning. Nativity. Probably numbers will be down a little bit today, but that's all right. Andrea, and I hope you guys have a great July 1st. Nice to have you on. Rita from New Brunswick, bonjour. And Carrie, good morning. Happy Canada's Day. And Carrie's from Nebraska. John from Elgin, Illinois. And Louise, bonjour, from Sudbury. Micheline, good morning. Alicia, hello. And Wendy, a dear friend from Markham, France. Nice to have you guys on with us this morning. Hey, there's a fair crowd coming on there. Jerry Habs, so disappointed. Natalie, good morning to you. And happy Canada's Day, Ruth and Carolyn. Good morning, everyone. Annette. Okay, we're going to do a little teaching this morning, okay? So for July 1st, teaching, Jeanette. And Diney, nice to have you on from Alberta, nice and early. Lois, Elliott Lake, beautiful. Lise, Joe from Duncan, BC. Joe, good morning. 5:30 in the morning. Joni from Orangeville. What a beautiful area. Donna. Okay, let's get going, guys. We do a little teaching. Good morning, Louise, and happy Canada Day to you. Okay, so what I'm going to do this morning, I want to talk to you about, guess what vitamin? Vitamin D. Okay. But no, there was a new study out then, and I said, you know what, I'm going to sort of go through a general little teaching this morning on vitamin D, okay? So here's the study. Vitamin D and schizophrenia. Low levels of vitamin D is common with schizophrenia. So what comes first? The schizophrenia or the low levels of vitamin D. Guys, vitamin D, as you well know, is the most essential vitamin because your body, the more, it's interesting that there's a vitamin D council, and I've been with them for a lot of years, okay? And what that is just research on vitamin D. It's been going on for a long time. And everybody, I think, would agree that vitamin D is essential. Even physicians would say, yep, essential for your bones. But I think what people don't realize is that vitamin D is not so much of a vitamin, it's a hormone, okay? Now there's four ways that your body makes vitamin D, okay? There's four ways. I think it's important to understand that, okay? And that's what I sort of want to talk about because, look, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. When you see the word fat-soluble, in a lot of teaching, fat-soluble means you got to be careful, like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. Those are what they call fat-soluble vitamins, okay? ADEC, okay? Fat-soluble vitamin. And we switched out vitamin E with exercise. Because exercise is a lot more beneficial to your body than vitamin E is, okay? It's not that I don't like vitamin E, but you can eat vitamin E. Okay, don't have to take it as a supplement. In my opinion, there's better ones. Okay, but anyway. So you have water-soluble vitamins, your B vitamins, for example, vitamin C, the other vitamin C, not coffee. Those are water-soluble vitamins, okay? Now, I want you to think for a minute, because you have to understand the difference. Water-soluble means if you don't need it, you're going to pee it out. Okay, that's water soluble. Fat soluble, it stays in your tissue. But this is a huge but. But fat soluble doesn't mean they're dangerous. I look at it the other way, because fat soluble vitamins, when you're eating enough fat, you are going to absorb those vitamins much more. It's essential to eat saturated fat. So when you see a piece of steak, when you see the fat in it, you go, oh, gee, you've been taught, well, that's not really good for you. It's the opposite. Cheese is mostly fat. You look at an egg. I mean, what you can see is the yolk, and you think fat, and rightly so. But it's good fat. These are vitamins that are absorbed in that. I don't look at vitamin D and go, oh, it's fat soluble, be careful. Nah. I'm not saying, look, is it possible it becomes toxic? All I say to you guys is that, look, the waiting rooms of the emergency departments in Canada and the United States are not being filled with people that have an overdose of vitamins. Okay, they're just not. I'm not saying that there's never a possible side effect. It's like a red herring. It's put out there by the pharmaceutical industry that runs the medical industry, and they don't like vitamins. Guys, can I say this as like a blanket statement about vitamin D? A blanket statement. In terms of therapeutics, even for the pandemic that we've been through, in terms of a therapeutic, there is nothing like vitamin D. Nothing like it. Nothing like it in terms of a therapeutic. And our health minister here in Canada, on Canada's Day, didn't say it then, but I'm bringing it up, said that vitamin D was fake news. Imagine making a statement dismissing something like that in a nanosecond. Oh, it's fake news. When you know nothing about it. When you know nothing about it. Okay, so it's a fat soluble vitamin. You got that? Meaning you need fat to absorb it properly. Guys, okay, there's 4 ways your body makes vitamin D. Got it? You know this, you might not know all of it, but you certainly know the number 1 way. It's called Viderma. Viderma. Vitamin D on the skin. From the sun. Okay? The sun. Get sun. Don't be scared of the sun. That it was brought to you by Johnson & Johnson. Scared of the sun. Scared of the sun. The boogeyman, the sun. No, don't burn. I'm not asking you to burn. But in 20 minutes, don't put any sunscreen. In 20 minutes, you're going to get 10,000 IUs of vitamin D in 20 minutes in the sun. If you are a dark-skinned person, you need double, 40 minutes to get 10,000 IUs. You have dark skin, you need more vitamin D, you need more sun, not less, more, because of your pigmentation. And by the way, it's interesting that people that get on the reset find they can get in the sun more. And we'll talk about why that is, okay? We'll talk about why that is, why they don't burn in the sun like maybe they used to, okay? And no one, again, please, I'm not ever asking anyone to burn in the sun, okay? You don't need to burn in the sun to get your vitamin D. It's the best way to get vitamin D is through the sun, okay? And again, in terms of getting upset, is one of the most important therapeutics. Never mind the virus, that's one, but for cancer, cardiovascular, your brain, your body is a human solar panel, and you need that vitamin D. And the more we study it, the more and more and more. It's almost like for depression, for Alzheimer's, for cognitive, for this new one, schizophrenic. If they would just wheel the patients out when the sun was out and get them to get some sunlight, it would be unbelievable, the results they would get. But anyway, you guys know better, so I know I'm preaching to the choir. Best way to get vitamin D is when the sun is out. Now, it's winter time and you can't get vitamin D on your skin. And by the way, specifically, there's two things that happen specifically with vitamin D on your skin, okay? Specifically, okay? You get it otherwise, but one, you elevate your levels of nitric oxide. Isn't that important? What is nitric oxide? NO. What is that? That's a molecule for your blood vessels. Relaxes the blood vessels, allows more blood flow. Imagine the sun coming down on your skin and you're producing nitric oxide. Isn't that important, guys? That's why cardiovascular. That is why Alzheimer's. That is why dementia. You have more blood supply in your 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. Vitamin D on the skin. 2, you have receptors of your T cells. T cells are Navy SEALs. It's your immune system. Someone was asking me yesterday about the immune system. Doc, how do I know if my immune system is good? Well, subjectively, if you're not sick all the time, I mean, with a cold or a virus or whatever, it gives you a good indication that your immune system's pretty good. But how do you really measure it? Well, you measure it by how much vitamin D you have in it's probably the best because it tells you that your vitamin D levels, your dehydroxy, and I'll tell you where that's made, by the way, okay? But when you are in the sun, when you're in the sun, nitric oxide and your little antennas for your T cells pick that up. And another thing that happens, especially with sun on the skin, is that it helps to repair your DNA inside your cells. Specifically sun on the skin, you're collecting vitamin D, and it does repairs on your body. It's anti-aging. So you know when they always tell you, oh, don't get sun because it'll wrinkle you up. It's the exact opposite. Now, did I say burn? Nope. I didn't say that. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. And one way to get it, vitamin D, is, and the best way, is with the sun. Okay? Now, what's the second way? The second way is food. Okay? Food. And eggs, meat, and cheese. See, vitamin D is only found in the animal kingdom. That is why the Inuit, way up north to Alaska. Now you got to be my age to remember that song. But the Inuit, the reason they don't lack vitamin D, because they never, they see the sun when it's 80 below zero. They're not getting a lot of vitamin D on their skin, but they eat a lot of vitamin D because they're eating seal and fish and, fat and blubber. Okay? They love blubber. Okay? There's vitamin D in that. And that's why when you take a supplement of cod liver oil, again, do you have to be my age to remember that? Cod liver oil? They gave it to you because of rickets. They didn't even realize the vitamin A in there was good for you too, but the vitamin D in cod liver oil. Okay? So when you're eating fat in the fat kingdom, the animal fat in the animal kingdom, you're getting vitamin D. Now, the problem with that source of vitamin D is you need to eat it every day. It doesn't last long. It's not like the sun where you get benefits for days on end. Whereas in food, it's short-lived. You need to repeat. Do you think there's a reason I love eggs, meat, and cheese? Does anybody ever get too much vitamin D from eating it from the animal kingdom? Never. Okay? So, and mummy, by the way, in vitamin D for that, because somebody, again, was a question asked, what about if I'm pregnant? You better be eating eggs, meat, and cheese. What about if I'm breastfeeding? Well, then you really need eggs, meat, and cheese, because now you're transferring that vitamin D. Your breast milk has a lot of vitamin D. If you're eating vitamin D, and I actually recommend supplementation. Okay? So you can get it from the sun. You can get it from food in the animal kingdom. It's not in the plant. Now, you can go get cereal, okay? Yesterday when I said, they should have this is the poison section of the grocery store. Enter in at your own risk. You remember that from yesterday? Well, when you go in there and you see fortified with vitamin D, well, first of all, it's vitamin D2. You're not even absorbing that stuff. Fake, that's fake news. That's fake vitamin D2. Guys, you don't want D2. D2 does nothing for you. You want D3. Okay, so when a food is fortified, oh, it's fortified. Yeah, those are fake vitamins. I'm sorry to tell you that. The poison. Don't go eat cereal to get vitamin D, okay? Okay. Now, the third place that you get vitamin D, where it's converted to dehydroxy, and don't get uptight with names, guys, okay? This is the one you do the blood test on. Okay, so when you want to do a blood test of dehydroxy, 25 it's called, that is finding out your serum blood vitamin D levels. Because what happens, dehydroxy is converted in the liver. In the liver. You need a clean liver, guys. You see, and this is really good. Okay, what happens with dehydroxy? Okay, so the sun, food, and dehydroxy, the conversion there is really good because this helps you as you get your levels optimized. Okay, optimized. Your serum levels of vitamin D go up. That's called dehydroxy. That happens in the liver. That's how they measure it. Okay? They measure it through the liver. Now, you get that from the sun, you get that from the food, or you get that from supplementation. Okay? In the liver of vitamin D. And it's good for, guys, breast, especially breast cancer. Ladies, there's a direct link between low levels of vitamin D and breast cancer. There's a direct link. And men, remember, whenever I say breast cancer, men, you need to clue in and go, oh, prostate for me. Breast for women, prostate for men. They're the same cancer. What makes things grow in the prostate and the breast? Estrogen, insulin. Estrogen, insulin. Hammer those down. But a direct relationship with your dehydroxy levels of vitamin D and breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, what other cancers are? I wrote them down. Brain cancer. Why do we see so much cancer? Sugar, insulin, crappy carbs, estrogen, chemicals, too much estrogen, xenoestrogens, and 3, low levels of vitamin D hydroxy. Converted in the liver. Very low levels. And in North America, 80 to 90% have low levels of vitamin D. And in India, because remember the Indian variant? Now they call it the Delta variant. You know what they found out in India? 90% of the population in India are deficient in vitamin D. 90% of them. It's craziness. But in North America, I believe the statistics are just about the same. And, I was talking to another person yesterday, and I was telling them, well, get your vitamin D levels. You're probably in Canada, and I don't know what it's like everywhere, but in Canada, just about you have to pay for that test. Why is that? Because the government, again, we heard from the government officials, oh, vitamin D is fake news. It's fake news. They don't want to hear about it. Monkey, can't see and can't hear. They want to close their eyes to the truth, guys. And if you have low levels of vitamin D, if you don't have optimized levels of vitamin D, you're in big doo-doo. and they'll scream blue murder. Oh, your vitamin D levels are too high. If your dehydroxy, okay, and this happens, it can happen. It's not going to kill you, but this is what happens. Some people have high levels of vitamin D. You know why? Because they got fatty liver. That's why. They got problem with their liver, or they got problems with their kidneys. And you have problem with your liver and you have problems with your kidneys when you are a carbaholic. So when I see someone on the other end of the spectrum with high levels of vitamin D, I tell them, you got work to do. You need to get on the reset. Now, stop taking vitamin D supplement. You don't need it. But you need to fix your liver. And the fourth way, okay, and now I'm going to bring it in, the fourth way you make vitamin D is in your kidneys. This is where the calcium comes in for your bones, okay? So your kidneys, okay, coming through your intestines, your vitamin D, and your kidneys play a game, okay, with your vitamin D levels. Here's where, and they play with the calcium levels, okay? So this is where, okay, just follow me here. This is, okay, medicine. Vitamin D is for your bones only. They got their blinders on. And so when they look at numbers of vitamin D, they're thinking strictly calcium. And you could get kidney stones if your calcium's too high, right? And that's, kidneys. There was a case in, I think it was Windsor. And they said, oh, it made the headlines. Too much vitamin D and the person had kidney stones. I guess it could happen, but it's rare. Anyway. Between your kidneys, okay, so follow me. Between your kidneys, you're absorbing vitamin D, okay? And your kidneys with your parathyroid. See, your thyroid is right here. Okay, there's your thyroid gland. You can't see it, but I'm pointing to my throat. It's a butterfly-like shape organ. And on the side of your thyroid is what you call the parathyroid glands, okay? Again, you never think of this stuff. You don't have to think about it. But between the parathyroid and your kidneys, they're talking to each other. And if your parathyroid and your body says, oh, I need more calcium in bones, okay? I need more calcium in bones. Your parathyroid regulates that. Of course, comes from the brain headquarters first, right? So your parathyroid glands. Now, if you're too low in calcium, you know what happens? It's not calcium you need. It's vitamin D. But if you're too low in calcium, you know what happens? Your parathyroid screams to your kidneys, take that calcium out of bones. You know how you get osteoporosis? That's part of it. Because you're low in vitamin D to start, and your body goes, hey, I need some more calcium. My vitamin D is low. Parathyroids, now you're emptying your calcium from your bones and putting it into your bloodstream. And the reverse happens. Okay? This is why we love, when you're supplementing, I love the vitamin D, D3 with K2. Okay, what's vitamin K2 do? It takes calcium out of your bloodstream and puts it in your bones where it belongs, okay? But again, if you have a kidney, one of the things, like what destroys your kidneys more than anything else, just ask a diabetic. Every street corner, just about, has a dialysis machine. Because of the epidemic we see today of kidney disease, and it's caused by our diet. It's not caused by vitamin D. It's caused by our diet full of sugar and crappy carbs. There's nothing harder on your kidneys than sugar. It's not salt. It's sugar. Okay? It's sugar. And so this is how you absorb vitamin D. And the moral of the story is you need to get in the sun, and if you can't, you need to supplement. Food is all right, but are you eating eggs, meat, and cheese every day? Then you probably... But guys, the test that if, look, you might have to pay for it. Unfortunately, we live in a world where, a lot of times you have to pay for vitamin D to get the test done. But I think once a year is not a bad idea to get that done if you have to pay for it even out of your pocket. It's worth it, in my opinion, because I really would like to see that number, okay? Now, in the United States, I like to see it above 60. Okay? In the United States, I love to see vitamin D levels to be above 60. 60 to 100. In Canada, on Canada Day, okay? On Canada Day, the Americans have their big July 4th coming. But Canada, we have July 1st. And in Canada, the numbers I like are between about, I'll live with 125 to, 250, so if you can get to the 150, 200 mark, Dr. Martin is happy with your vitamin D levels. And 90% of the population are not there in Canada, nor are they near 60 in the United States. And the reasons are, first of all, they're scared skinny of the sun. That sounds like a book. Scared skinny of the sun. SSNS. Scared skinny of the sun. Yeah, they are. So, a little bit of teaching this morning. Okay? Vitamin D. Vitamin D. Linus Pauling won the Nobel Prize in medicine. Smart guy. Linus Pauling, what a guy. On his research on vitamin C, and I've always said this from the day he won the Nobel Prize, he only missed by one letter in the alphabet. He was talking about C, and I talk about D. And now, as time passes, the research on vitamin D is conclusive. It's not finished, because we should be always researching it. There's no money in vitamin D. People don't make money on vitamin D. But I'll tell you guys, it is a very, very important vitamin. Okay. So tomorrow is question and answer Friday. We appreciate your questions, and I try and answer some of the questions even during the week because of some of the conversations I have. On Canada Day, I want to thank my Canadian staff, Nick and Jeanette, Brandy. You guys do a tremendous job on our private Facebook group. You guys really do. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate my dear friends on Facebook and people that download our podcast. We appreciate you very much, guys. We love you guys for it. Join the Martin Clinic Facebook group. The Reset, thank you again, making it #1 on the hit parade. #1 health book in Canada. I think it would be #1 in the States too. I think we're very close to that. Okay? Now, we thank you very much. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.